welcome to the A Bit of AI show with your hosts, Henk and Amy.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 8 A Bit of AI show. Can you believe we're already at the 8th episode? We've been doing this for 2 months already, Amy.
Oh my goodness, no way. We were chatting with our guest before and I was like, how is this number 8? Also, we've been doing some planning on future episodes and guests as well. So yeah, it's been an exciting couple of weeks.
Exactly. So welcome everyone to the A Bit of AI show. This show is all about the people in AI. So what do they do it, and how did they came into the field of AI? And we are collecting all these different stories from all these different type of jobs within the AI space. So today we have Saba. Let's just call her into the show and start our session today.
Sure. Before we chat with Saba though, let's just briefly say, don't forget that anything we speak about here on the stream, you can chat with us after as well, as if we're in person is the idea. It's offline, it's in a meeting environment where we have a code of conduct, and it's called A Bit of AI Cafe. So a nice place for you to chat with me and Henk if you want to, but I'm pretty sure you'll want to speak to our speaker instead, especially this week. So go to a bit of aka.ms/a bit of AI-cafe.
Perfect. So hi Saba, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Kia ora Amy, kia ora Henk from New Zealand. I'm good, how are you guys?
Not too bad. It's getting summer here.
Yeah, very
so
good.
I am happy.
I know, I'm jealous.
Oh, and thank you so much for joining us. Obviously later into your evening as well. I'm sure you already had a busy week. Can you believe we're only at Thursday? But we're nearly there, nearly at the weekend for a bit of respite, hopefully. But it's an absolute pleasure to have you. So, Saba, shall we get started? And one of the first things that we always do is kind of that basic question that says, tell us who you are and what you do in the space of AI.
Awesome, cool. So my name is Saba Samiei. I'm originally from Iran and I live in New Zealand. I am an AI and AI ethics researcher and enthusiast, and I have founded 2 AI companies, one last year called Comfort.ai and one this year called Maxo.
Very nice, very nice. And we will dig into so much of what Saba just said there, so bear with us because there's lots of great stories for her to tell. So I guess one of the first questions that we always ask that gives people that level set of what is it actually like to work in AI? So all jobs in the industry look different daily, but if you could describe an average day in your role, what does that look like?
So I think anyone who has this founder role and is kind of in the startup world would know that the days are actually quite different, and it starts in a different way and it ends in a different way. But I think if I were to summarize my day-to-day activities, it includes a lot of research, a lot of thinking and strategizing and talking actually to a lot of people. Sometimes at the end of the day I come home and I'm like, my jaw hurts. But yeah, that's what basically what it looks like, keeping up with the news, what's going on around the world that could impact us, or that we need to kind of take into consideration when we are strategizing. Yeah, talking to people, developing stuff, coming up with ideas, validating them, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. So my question is, Like, how did you get into AI?
Okay, so I watched a movie called Transcendence when it was out. I think it was back in 2014, 15. And I remember vividly, quite vividly actually, that I went to the cinema with my ex, and we watched this movie, and I was just amazed by this thing that happened, this human that was connected to the internet, and then became all of a sudden became something completely different. And I think the trigger point for me was that, just like the character, the wife, I was also like, oh my God, he's come back to life. And then all of a sudden it changed. And I was like, no, that person needs to go because that's now bad. And then I started, as soon as I came out of the movies, I was like, I'm going back to university. I want to continue my master's and finish my master's in AI. And my ex was like, yeah, right. And I proved him wrong. So yeah, that's kind of like the actual trigger point. But I think the other one was the fact that I am a big fan of Stephen Hawking's books, and I came across his warnings about artificial intelligence. And then kind of that made my love for AI a little bit more focused, and I got into the ethics side of it, which I can dig into that a bit more.
Wonderful. I was going to say, no, it's always interesting to see where everyone meets AI, and AI being such a big word for many, many, many things. So yeah, it's interesting to kind of share that. Some people come from the more technical side, some people come from the creative side. It's so interesting you come from more the story side of it, the actual, the outcomes of some of the things that we do in AI. And so I'd love to ask you a bit more about that master's, because your master's sounds like it was the point in which you started to really dig into some of this research. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you studied?
Yeah, sure. So my master's is actually in AI ethics. So I did a thesis-based master's, and which meant I had no classes. I only had a research for the 2 years that I did it. And it was about the why behind the danger of AI. And the reason why I stumbled across that is initially I went to university, and I went with an idea of, I want to create a device that when robots take over, that it would kill all the robots, but it wouldn't harm any humans. And I went to the university being very, very excited about my idea. And I was like, bring me the Nobel Peace Prize. And that didn't happen. So the professor who ended up being my supervisor later was basically challenged me on, well, why do you think the robots are going to take over? And why do you think these warnings exist? And so that kind of set me on the path to then understand why is it, and why are so many people kind of telling us that AI is dangerous, but at the same time investing heavily into it as well. So that was kind of the main topic of my my master's, and it's called On the Danger of AI, if anyone is interested to go look it up.
Wonderful. And you, in that research, you mentioned a promise that you would make at the end of it. Can you tell us a bit more about what that was?
Yeah. So in the basically the introduction part, just before I get into the actual kind of master research, I write about the fact that how moved I was by doing this research, not just because of kind of seeing the possibilities, but the mistakes that we've made in the past and how we didn't learn from them and still kind of moved forward with some of the other developments that we have. And so the promise that I made to my readers was for them to be a person that has read the work of someone who went on and made a change in the world. And because that was written and it was published, now I'm holding myself to account to actually deliver that. And that's the story behind how Maxo and Comfort AI came about as well. That's my way of making that impact.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, it's always great, right, when you see research take that that next step as well, and become something that, like you said, can really grow into something. So you mentioned Comfort AI, and I think Comfort AI is one place that we kind of wanted to start. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it is?
Sure. So one of the things that I realized in my master research is that this fear of artificial intelligence, or part of the fear or part of the danger as well, is because people don't really know what it is. They don't know the possibilities. They don't know what it can and cannot do. And they don't know, by feeding these AI engines that we use on a day-to-day basis, then the impact that they're making on the future of not just themselves, but the future generations as well. So the first thing I started to do was to start educating people around me, so as many people as I could reach. And that's what Comfort AI kind of came from as well. I delivered a workshop to high school students here in New Zealand, and they loved it. And then I realized how many questions they have, that next generation, so they were Generation Z, and how many questions they actually have about their future. And so I started designing these workshops for high school students, as well as people who are already in the workforce, to teach them about artificial intelligence. And the promise, or the tagline for Comfort AI, and which is my personal mission as well, is to make artificial intelligence the comfort zone of as many people as I can reach. And that just means just helping them actually understand what is AI, what are these different buzzwords that we use in AI, and then what does it mean practically for them in their day-to-day life.
Yeah, it's interestingly, we've had people on the show who have mentioned, we'll ask you a question actually shortly that might test you a little bit, but we chatted somewhere and they said the expectation is often something that's managed within AI. So we see a lot in all sorts of different places, including media, and it's like, is that what it is right now? How can we use it safely? How are we thinking about what we can do as people who are creating technology to build responsible AI? And so you mentioned these workshops, and you mentioned the age range in which you share them with. That's really exciting that there were sort of high school students, so teenagers and young people. How have you found people kind of coming on that journey? Because AI, to a lot of people, seems very a difficult area of technology, right? There's a lot of complexity in there. How are people finding that learning curve?
I think once you tap into how AI, or the role that AI plays in people's day-to-day lives, and the real examples that they're dealing with, then it makes it a bit easier for them to understand. I mean, obviously not everyone's going to be a developer, and I think that's one of the mistakes that the AI community sometimes makes, is that we are so kind of tied up in our own world that when we talk to others, we might come across as like aliens. So I think for me, it's kind of been like, do this the other way around. That said, for that workshop that I did, and a couple others that I did after that, I went to that workshop thinking, okay, well, I'm going to tell them about the definition of artificial intelligence and the definition of machine learning, blah, blah, blah. And then I went to that workshop and I said, well, you guys tell me, what is it that you want to hear? What is it that you want to learn? What's the one thing that you want to take away from this workshop? And the first one asked me a question, what is different languages that are used in machine learning, for example. The second one asked me, can we replicate our consciousness into the cloud so we can live forever? And as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, this generation knows a lot more than we think they do. So, and I was so glad that I did my master's and I did some research on that topic as well, consciousness. And so I could actually guide them. The outcome for me was very interesting, even though that is not what I intended. At the end of the workshop, I did ask every attendee to come and, tell us what is it that they've learned. And almost every single one of them, and this is not an attack on any particular company, this is purely for having educated people about how their data is being used. Almost every single one of them decided to close their Facebook account after that workshop. I don't know if they did it or not. But that was one of the things that happened, and I found that quite interesting. Some of them decided to go back and challenge things that were given to them. So that was another moment that I was quite happy with. And by challenge, I mean, not just accept anything that's just given to you. Just go and do your own research and really understand the reasoning behind some of the things that are said. So yeah, I think that was the story behind the workshops. And I founded that in February 2020, which we all know how 2020 was. So then I converted that into, so I couldn't do as many workshops as I wanted, but I converted that into a YouTube channel and an Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn channel as well. So I post videos on it and educational material, but I'm going to get back into doing the workshops now that we're kind of out of the lockdown.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, a difficult time, definitely. I know, well, we're here, obviously online, doing a lot more online events as well. So it's exciting to see that you're able to transition and still be able to offer your advice in the area. So Henk, you have our always tricky question, but really telling question that you ask our guests.
Yeah, I think we already touched a little bit about it, on it, but what is the most annoying thing about your role in AI?
Yeah, I think we did touch a bit of on that. It is expectation management. I feel that people underestimate the long-term potential or the danger of in a particular AI product, and overestimate what can be achieved in the short term. So when I have conversations with different people about artificial intelligence, it's normally either people who are really scared of it or people who are very disappointed by it. So those who are really scared of it, and by scared of it, I mean those who think, it's going to become the Terminator and kill us all. They're kind of like, they're basically me before I did my master's. And I don't blame them for thinking that either. I just think that now that I have done my research, that danger is actually beyond that. But the other group of people who end up being disappointed about artificial intelligence are those who are normally like investors or C-suite of a particular company that were promised that we can do such and such with AI, and we can do it in such a short time. And then someone did something for them and it didn't work. And then, you only get one shot at the first impression type thing. Then changing people's mind after they have already experienced something is quite difficult. And then as a founder, I need to talk to, different people about what we can and cannot do within the given time frame. So, I would definitely say expectation management is one of the challenging parts. I don't want to say annoying.
Yeah, no, challenging's fair. Challenging's a fair word, and we've heard that from a couple of our guests. And so interesting that even different roles within the same space are managing expectations. So thank you so much for sharing your story and Comfort AI and the education that you're doing. So this is really exciting. We are going to move on to something called our quickfire round. So Saba, we have briefly touched on what's going to happen here, but we have not told you the questions in which we will ask. And so the ask of you is to answer as quickly as possible, as briefly as possible, and with the first thing that comes to mind. And we have about 6 questions for you. So I'll start. So nice, easy one to get us started. What was your first programming language?
C.
Oh, okay. We've had some low level sort of like device hardware programming languages. That's been a bit of a pattern actually now thinking about it.
Yeah.
And what was the programming language you used last?
Oh, Python. Oh no. MATLAB. Actually, I did a machine learning course.
Oh, nice. Yeah, interesting. Good stuff. That's a new one. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing. So what was the last thing you learned in AI? And if you can keep it to no more than a sentence.
Ooh. The last thing I learned about AI, it's data. It's not AI. It's okay. I'll go quick. This is the first thing that comes into my mind. That 92% of children under the age of 2 in the US have a digital footprint. It's not AI related.
Wow, interesting. Good stuff. But data fuels, doesn't it? So that's fine. That we will accept. We'll take that answer. That's an easy one.
Cool. Favorite event on the AI calendar?
Singularity University events always fascinate me.
What area of AI is on your list to next skill up on? So what are you looking to learn next?
Machine learning.
Oh, fun. Nice.
And what training framework did you use last? That can also be none.
Mm-hmm.
Training framework, like where I did my training from?
No, like PyTorch or TensorFlow or Scikit-learn.
I can't. Oh, that's a hard one. You should have given these to me before. I can't remember.
No, that's cool. That's cool because it shows us all the very different perspectives that happen in AI. So as much as we have very deeply technical people who work every single day with frameworks, then we have people focusing on data, we have people focusing on ethics and research. So it's a great answer. It helps us to understand the broad variety of different things happening in this space. But that is pretty much all we've got time for. One of the things I did very briefly want to ask you actually was just about your learning ethos. So everyone that we have on the show tends to chat a lot about how to keep up with the ever-changing environment. Do you have a way that you learn? Can you share with us? Is it reading? Is it doing? Is it, etc.?
Yeah, it's very hard to do that, actually. I know. So I do a few things. I read books. I read as much as I can, whether that's like actually reading books, which I love, or just listening to audiobooks. I do a lot of online courses. So I think that the reason why I asked the online module, I use Coursera a lot, and also Microsoft Learn. And I read a lot of articles. I think I find those very useful because they're short, they're kind of very summarized, and I don't just stick to the headline. But then sometimes when you're like reading something very quickly, it does come with like bullet points as well. So if you're in a real hurry or you've got a lot of things to get through, then those short articles always really help. But I do recommend that anyone that reads an article, read it from a few different sources, especially if it's a news article.
Yeah, no, always good to get multiple perspectives. Same within the AI space, right? Building teams of multiple perspectives, building ideas and asking people their feedback is always important. So thank you so much, Saba. It's been a flash. Can you believe that much time has already gone? But it's been so interesting to hear about kind of what you're working on, how you've got into AI, your specific area of AI as well. And we really appreciate your time. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
Yes,
wonderful. Well, we will see Saba in the cafe.
Exactly.
Yes, I'll be there.
Yeah, I see some questions in the chat, and these are typically the questions you can ask in the cafe. So please join the cafe in about 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for
joining, Saba. So that's a bit of AI-cafe. Bye, Saba.
So, and we are already at the last part of our show. So we have two things left for you. We have the event of the week or month, or maybe even year for you. And we have our Learn modules. So I think the big news is that registration for Microsoft Build opened this week, and that you can now register. And there will be a lot of announcements. So maybe there will be some cool announcements around AI. Who knows? So please go to mybuild.microsoft.com and register for all the sessions. And it's free. So Learn module of the week time.
Wonderful. Yes. This one has been an interesting one. Obviously, we've gone down the route of ethics and responsible AI. And so two of the modules that I wanted to pick up on are things that can support you as you're looking at building AI products and understanding things like what is our model doing, as well as trying to detect and mitigate unfairness. And so the two modules that I've got are Explain Machine Learning Models with Azure Machine Learning, as well as Detect and Mitigate Unfairness in Models with Azure Machine Learning. And so if you want to take part, we've set up a challenge for you. It's at aka.ms/abitofai-learn. So that should be open right now. Lots of people tend to go in there and complete it from week to week. So thank you for participating as always. These are great modules that can really show you different parts of the Azure machine learning space, as well as some great learning to kickstart you in this area so that you can learn more about these frameworks. Because lots of them are open source, which is great. So that was kind of our piece on Learn. We really appreciate you taking part. Always, keep in touch, give us feedback. That's what we like to hear. And so that we can make sure that we're building great content. But really, that is all from us, Henk, already today. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. And we hope you've enjoyed the show. We're here every Thursday at 10 a.m. Central European time and all different times across the world. If you go to our website, abitofai.show, you can see lots of different time zones in which it's in. So that's incredibly useful. And please join us in the A Bit of AI Cafe after the show. So that's aka.ms/abitofai-cafe. If you want to re-watch this episode or grab any links, you can go to our website, abitofai.show. And Henk, anything you wanted to add? Anything special this week?
No, but in like 24 hours, it will also be available as a podcast. So you can,
of course, yes,
while you're walking or in the car.
That's wonderful. When we don't need to be directly looking at screens, that's always a good way to just have 30 minutes, listen to a conversation. It's the way we've designed it to be an engaging conversation. So great shout, Henk. That's a very, very good one. So thanks everyone for watching. This has been A Bit of AI show with Henk and Amy. And we will see you next week.
See you next week.